And it's streaming now. So let me just double check. Yes, I think people should be showing up. Looks good. I think we are live. Awesome. Thank you, Rajiv ji, for doing this again. How are you?
Busy, but I'll tell you something, Yudi. It's not often you start expecting radical change in immigration.
Mm-hmm.
And last time was 2013. It has been 8 years, or it's the 8th year from the last major attempt
Yeah.
for immigration reform, where I feel that this might actually get somewhere.
Really? Wow. That's awesome.
Yep. And it could be as early as the first 6 months of the next year. So
Wow.
if not within this year.
I love that we just started and you like deep dive into it directly. No
Well,
small
you
talk.
see, you have to remember, law is not my profession. It is my passion. That's what I like to do.
Yeah,
So
totally. Totally.
yesterday, I was in a townhouse meeting,
Mm.
or whatever they call it. So people were just talking when we finished the meeting. The work was done. People were talking about, oh, what do you do for fun? And I said, well, I work. That's what I do for fun. And they couldn't quite understand. So then I explained to them, I said, you see, first of all, because we have a team of very competent people and we've been working together for 20, 30 years,
Yeah,
none of our team is new.
right.
Everybody's been together for a very, very long time. So what happens is, if I don't have, like yesterday, I sent an email to one of my colleagues and I said, you're going to have to pull my weight a little bit because I'm very busy. I'm a little overcommitted.
Mm-hmm.
I have to make sure that we are taking care of our existing clients. But the rest of the time then goes into writing and speaking and reading. Actually, reading is 80% of my job. That's what
Yeah,
I do. I do that.
totally. Right.
So therefore, if you ask me, and that's pretty much my passion. That's if somebody asked you, Yudi, talk about what excites you, and of course, you're going to begin with that which is uppermost in your
Yeah,
mind.
yeah. No, totally, totally. No, I,
And
I,
I was
I
I was talking to a friend of mine who's a farmer,
yeah,
and in the India farmers thing going on, and he was asking me what my opinion was. I said, listen, I'll tell you something. I have no idea what's going on, but because I trust you 100%, I don't have to worry about it. I'm taking care of Trump here. You take care of the farmers.
yes, yes. Awesome. So I just want to address all the audiences so that way they know. So welcome everybody. Rajiv ji is back. We're gonna talk about several things. We will obviously start with Joe Biden's freezing all the policies of Trump, and then his plans and what does it mean for H-1B visa, green card, students, and things like that. So, and then maybe if we have time, we'll do some Q&A. Rajiv ji, what do you say? Are you okay with Q&A?
Yeah, I have a 4 o'clock appointment with somebody. So we've got a good hour and a half, which is more than enough.
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
why I told you. That's why I told you, because I wanted to keep enough time to be
Right.
flexible. And
Yeah.
if we have time and if we don't have enough questions, I can go grab a cup of tea before I go into the next meeting.
Absolutely.
Um, but going back to people's questions, before I get started, I want you guys to remember something. Notice the way this country is changing. Those who live here, you will start noticing, just as people went mad exponentially with Trump in power,
Hmm.
people became racist or their racism began to emerge. They became extremists on both sides, left and right. You would also see a return to moderation.
Hmm.
With the same exponential speed with which Trump, this is my prediction,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because I see it. Look
Yeah.
at the so called rallies.
Right.
They were showing a rally in one of the capitals. One guy showed up.
Yeah.
There was supposed to be a 10,000 people rally. One guy showed up.
Right.
Another person was standing by the street and CNN was interviewing him. One single person, President Trump, we love you.
Right.
Single person.
Right.
And they said, where is we? Who is we?
Yeah. Yeah.
And she goes, well, it was supposed to be a lot of people. I don't know what happened. So,
Right. Right.
so it isn't so much as what people say is rats are deserting a sinking ship or a sunk ship. That's not the issue. The issue
Mm.
is it was temporary madness induced by a leader people either loved or hated. You know which side I am on.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it's temporary insanity, and that's gonna go. So remember that, number one. Number two, remember the Democratic majority. Even though it is slim, we call the shots now.
Mm-hmm.
And you can expect adult decision making. You can
Mm.
expect rational decision making.
Mm.
Number three, do not be ever non cognizant of the fact. Remember that both sides of the aisle, Republicans and Democrats, recognize that immigration laws need to change. The question is how and to what extent. And the educated people, the students, the H-1Bs will always come out winners,
Mm. Yeah.
always,
Yeah.
because we need you.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was looking at a study in the
Before
Harvard.
you start, I just want to let everyone know that we're gonna open up Q&A. So hold on to your questions because I don't want to miss all the questions. So we're gonna
I'm just going to take
yeah.
30 seconds more. I'm finishing up. There was a study I was reading in Harvard Business Journal. Three young people, one associated with uh, one of my very favorite think tanks, Democratic think tanks called Brookings. They were also our clients at one point. So Brookings Institution, they did a study combined with Harvard and one more person, three researchers.
Mm-hmm.
And they saw that with one decision, there was a loss of X billion dollars in the because one H-1B ban caused X billion dollars. I don't remember
Yeah.
the figures.
Yeah.
X billion dollars in loss of equity in a company. So therefore, people cannot underestimate this. And laws, unfortunately, are made on passion and moment based upon the political activity that's going on. And right now, because the balance swung very extreme in one direction, it's bound to spring back in the other. That's the context. Things are looking good. Go ahead with the questions.
No, yeah. So I'm saying about the live Q&A. So we'll get to that, but I want to talk about very first thing, which I think everybody's wondering, like, what's gonna happen with the H-1B policies? I know he put a freeze for 60 days. So, like, what are your thoughts on that? And I have already read your Economic Times article already, but I since you are here, I would like to learn from you.
I did commit to writing another one this weekend. If I get the time to finish it, I will. And I want to discuss four areas that I briefly touched upon in my last article. Look, I was supposed to write only 6 or 7 articles in the year, and I've written seven already for Economic Times in the last 2 months.
Yeah.
Okay. So because there's so much activity going on, this was not, and we have to write in a manner that is digestible to a non-lawyer. You can't write
Correct.
like a legal scholar and expect people already understand what
Right.
these terms mean.
Right.
And I am writing one for American Immigration Lawyers Association's law journal, which is a scholarly article. That's a
Mm-hmm.
very different tone.
Mm-hmm.
This is a tone that is for our people.
Yeah.
So, okay, you're sitting across me, you need to understand. So, what are they going to do? See, there are four areas of governance in immigration law.
Hmm.
Executive order, president says, look, this is the way I want this done.
Right.
Two, policy. Government says, this is how we will interpret our own laws.
Hmm.
These two can be changed overnight.
Okay.
That's easy.
Right.
More difficult than that is the regulations. Because in order to do away with the regulation, you have to pass another regulation.
Correct. And when is rule and regulation same thing?
Same thing.
Yeah.
That's a
Okay.
synonym. Rules and
So
regulations are the same thing.
right. So just for
So
my audience to understand, the H-1B visa rule of selecting instead of the lottery system, that's the rule and regulation what is referring.
yeah. Right now, we have only one rule or regulation that we call it. That is going to be a little problem, and I don't know how we are going to deal with it. I think I have a way out, and I'm pretty sure there are many, many very smart lawyers many of them as smart as we are, and
Hmm.
some one or two maybe who are smarter than I am. I don't know any, but I'm sure there are some.
Right.
So there are some people who understand it as well as I do, that Biden administration might need some help, because remember, this season's lottery is on us, March, okay, and these regulations are only frozen till March 31st. Actually, not even March 31st, because the H-1B regulation that says lottery should go to the highest paid people, that stops before March 31st, I think. I don't remember the exact detail. So that's the dangerous one.
Yes.
If the Biden administration wanted to stop it, can they just cancel it? No, you cannot take away a regulation once it's been published. The
Right.
regulation that raised the wages was withdrawn because it was not published.
Right.
The regulation that said everybody has to file LCAs, even end clients, withdrawn. That was a policy. Day before yesterday, that was withdrawn just with one notice. Okay. The regulation that talked about redefining employer-employee relationship,
Yeah.
that was not published, so that's gone.
Right.
But the lottery one is published. Now, how
Yes.
does that go away? This is the way it's gonna go away.
Yeah.
Unless there is something in the rules that I do not know. Because remember, this is an area of specialty all by itself. It's called administrative law.
Got it.
This was my favorite subject in law school.
Nice.
I loved administrative law. There is so much going on in agency practice. I didn't know I was going to make a living out of it. I really like this area of practice. So, administrative law has its own rules and regulations. And I think what's going to end up happening is this, my prediction. Unless the Biden administration pulls a rabbit out of a hat, wherein they can justify some way of revisiting these regulations. So one thing they could do is they could reopen the regulations for a notice and comment period, saying that, okay, these regulations were not properly considered. They were only considered for 30 days. We are going to open them for 30 more days. And until we are done with deciding, and because under the law, they are required to deal with every comment that is posted, every substantial comment.
Yes.
So what I would do is, if they reopen it, I am going to call upon you guys and say, everybody submit a comment. I don't care what you say, but say something.
Right. Right. And
You have a couple hundred thousand?
And that comment could be from like a student, from an
Anyone,
employer. Okay.
anyone.
Okay.
So because last time when they had a major H-1B regulation change, there were 50,000, 55,000 comments. Let's make it 500,000. It's not difficult. That means they'll be considering
Totally.
that regulation for 8 months. So that means they can't start that regulation till maybe the next lottery, and by that time it's too late anyway. Okay.
Got it.
That's one thing that can happen. Second,
Right.
which is more likely, they will get sued. And now here's an interesting thing. Can the government just say, we don't want to fight this? Okay, Mr. Court, throw away this regulation. Easy way out, right?
Yeah.
Courts don't let you do that.
Oh,
Not in the District of Columbia, not in the Ninth Circuit. I looked at a couple of rulings. I was curious about that. So why can't the government just walk away from it? And the court said, look, if we let you do that, you are basically laying waste the entire requirements of the administrative law, which require certain procedures to be followed for making the regulation and unmaking the regulation. It's the same procedure. You've got to get notice and comment. You've got to address it. You've got to do a lot of different type of analyses. So I don't think it's going to go away just like that. I think this year's lottery will probably be okay. It'll go under the old standards. I don't know. I have to look at one or two other things in the regulations to see, because they had a certain savings clause that protected the lottery system against these kinds of attacks. Because that snake, Steve Miller, by the way, he's my neighbor. I told you that, right? He lives in Arlington.
Yeah.
He was a smart guy. I mean, he was evil, but he was smart.
Right.
Trump was evil and dumb, which is a great combo that creates problem for him. But he was evil and smart. And he created certain minefields for us, which are going to be difficult to overcome. He's going to get sued. And after a proper litigation, government is going to lose. These regulations are going to go away. That's my prediction.
Got it.
Okay. So I don't think we need to worry about, I mean, I'm concerned. Yes, we are watching the situation, but I think there are ways around this which should work out just fine.
Got it. Okay. Okay. There's one question which I want to ask is it possible to get paid congratulations from Sir team on PERM? PERM. I have no idea what is. I really
PERM
need.
is a labor certification green card process.
Okay. I really need guidance. I work in USA. So I don't know. Is it possible to get paid congratulations from Sir on PERM? I don't understand the question actually. Do you understand?
No, I do not.
Okay. All right. We'll
Maybe they need to rephrase that question. Maybe they mistyped something.
Yeah, okay. Please, World's Periscope is the person who typed it. Please retype your question. Another question from Omkar is that Biden is going to make changes to green card process, only 8 years of stay in USA to get a green card. I think that's for
That's for
illegal,
DACA. That's for DACA.
right? Yeah. So I do you want to talk about it? Like, what is that? I think there's a
I
lot of
don't keep.
8 years
That's
path.
not. That's not our area of practice. Our area of practice is legal immigration and employment and business-based immigration. But I know what they are thinking is this. For people who are illegally in the United States, they will have an 8-year path to green card. Something like that. They have to pay their taxes, then they get their green card. Once they get their green card, in 3 years, they can apply for citizenship. Maybe it's 5+3, something like that.
Right.
But
It is 5+3. Yes.
yeah. So the idea is you're here 5 years, then you get your green card, and then instead of waiting 5 years to apply for naturalization, you take 3 years.
Right.
There's an exception for dreamers, people who came to this country when they were very young. They will have a much shorter path. So there's something like that in DACA. But I have, with all due respect to our DACA applicants, that's not really my field of
Yeah.
expertise, and I really don't pay attention.
I think they misunderstood the illegal. I mean, I myself did too. So that's why I think the people are misunderstanding
Right.
the green card for illegal versus legal immigrants.
Right.
All right. There's a new question from Rohit asking, is it safe to change job after I apply for my STEM OPT with my old employer? So he has a OPT.
Yeah. There is a frequently asked question I have seen on that, and I read it too. I forgot what the answer was. There is a process for it. What I want you to do is Google your question, changing jobs on OPT space site : without space .gov. So when you put the filter site : without space .gov, it will only bring you entries from .gov sites. And there is an answer either from study in the USA.gov or com, or from ice.gov.
Gov. Yeah.
Because remember, the SEVIS program is administered by ICE, not by USCIS. So ICE has, under ICE, there is SEVIP. SEVIP is the one who manages SEVIS. So there's a frequently asked question on it. Is it safe? Is it not safe? I believe there is a process for it. I just don't remember what it is.
Okay. Sounds good. Moving on to the next one. Okay, so that person rewrote the question. I wanted to request if your team provide consultation for PERM process. So your, as in your, Rajiv ji.
Yeah.
My employer is filing same. I just want independent subject matter expert to guide me on the pros and cons based on my situation. So he basically wants to consult you.
Hey, listen, you don't have to pay us for that. Listen, if you just have a general question, just either ask here or log into our community conference. We have one every other Thursday. People ask me this type of generic questions all the time. I can always spend a couple of minutes to answer your basic questions. But if you want an in-depth analysis, of course, we can do a consultation. I just don't know what you need. If you tell me what your questions and your situation are.
Right. I have a feeling. So what usually happens with professional world is like there's so much only told to the employees, like how the whole process is going on, and they don't know what stage they are on. So my guess is this person just really wants to show you his case and her case and kind of ask you, like, I think it's more of
Okay.
peace, is
Okay.
what.
Well, just to give you an idea, my email is help@immigration.com, which my time is billed at 220 per 15 minutes. So it's about 880 an hour and 220 per 15 minutes. And
Help.
you really, I
So sorry, help at the rate immigration.com.
come.
Okay.
Yes. And 99% of my consultations last only 15 minutes. So, because, I know what I'm doing, I have seen everything a million times before.
Yeah.
There's hardly anything new in immigration law, at least in the area that we work in.
Mm.
So, yeah, I'll be happy to take a look at your case. I just am not. I want to make sure that we create value. Sometimes we get into a consultation and realize we're just wasting their time,
Yeah.
but we still have to charge for our time because they wanted a consultation. So I've learned a little bit more since I started consulting several years ago, decades ago. Just send me your questions. Let me take a look. I'm not sure I can help you. I'll
Okay.
see what I can.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Think there's a controversial question, so I'm gonna skip it, unless you want to
No,
take
no,
it.
you can. Why not? I like controversy. Nothing wrong
Okay,
with that.
Rahul Pandey is asking, why did Trump attack H-1B? Is there a deep sentiment amongst the American citizens that immigrant were taking away jobs in corporate and tech sector?
That's a question that comes up very frequently. I'm so used to answering that question, both from people as well as from politicians.
Hmm.
And the question was raised at one point. One politician who was in an argument with me said to me, why should we keep this program? It's causing so much damage. I said, show me one study that shows that it causes damage.
Yeah.
Can I show you a study that says it's positive? Sure. But these are not studies we can depend upon. We need a bipartisan panel to study what kind of H1s are helping us, what kind of H1Bs are hurting us, because you can't do without H1Bs. If every H1B left this country, your STEM field will come to a grinding halt.
Right.
So we definitely need H1Bs. And
Yeah.
I also give the example of Pentagon. I say if a program is at fault, you don't shut down the program. Remember I told you about the
Yeah.
Pentagon?
Yeah.
They have not been able to pass audits for years. You've not closed down Pentagon. You still have it around. In the same way, somebody needs to approach this rationally like an adult and
Hmm.
see, because it's very unfair to treat people shabbily just because of a political sentiment.
Yeah.
It is very unfair to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. And you are hurting your own country by
Right.
doing that.
Right.
Uh, there was an editorial in not in Wall Street, in Washington Post that talked about how badly we need younger people to
Hmm.
work in this country. And I have written on it too. One of my Economic Times articles has some figures from the US Census Department that talks about this whole country is getting old. If we want to save our social security system, we need younger people to work for us. Yudi, I told you that you need to pay for my retirement. I
Yes.
don't know what the heck you're doing. Start working harder,
I'm,
man.
I'm already working it. I'm already on it. All right. Next question is on any update on F4 visa. They're saying that people will F4 visa will get temporary visa. Is that true?
Yeah, yeah. That is the recommendation from Bernie Sanders, and a couple of other people who were sitting as a
Everybody's
commission.
talking about his picture. So
He is, in many ways, I find that innocence so adorable. I
yeah,
mean, such a simple guy in some ways.
yeah,
I like that. I can
yeah.
see myself doing that. I don't give a damn what it looks like. I'm comfortable.
Yes, yes. So you were
So,
saying, yeah, about
yeah,
F4.
they are considering that. And if you go to LinkedIn and follow my pinned article on my profile,
Mm,
my full name is Rajiv S. Khanna, or you can go to immigration.com. Our servers are up. We had to take our servers down because we moved hardware.
yeah.
Our servers are back up. So you should be able to go to immigration.com. On the top right, you see all our social media. Click on LinkedIn, follow. I have an article that I keep updated almost every day. When
Mm,
something is happening, I go and update it. Okay. So in that, you will find that I've written about all of this, including the F4 visa and the temporary visas. Just brief mentions of it, because that's all we know for now.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So that person is back again. Is asking, it's a little complicated. I was here on H-1B, then completed my master's year. Now working on OPT extension with an employer already transfer H-1B. I, I think so. That World Periscope. I think you should just email
Just
Rajiv ji
email it to me.
with
Let me
your
see what's
all detail, and then yeah, they will. You
let let me let me see if you need a criminal defense lawyer or not. I don't know. I'm just kidding.
yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. So let's go to the next question. For F1 visa, if the selection is based on wages, then will companies hike the salary for entry level? I can answer the company's part. No, I don't think we will hire because I'm hiring right now, and I don't think we are going to like it's companies are not going to increase the salary for freshers. What do you think?
Again, I'm referring to the Wall Street Journal art, or not the Wall Street, the Harvard Business Review article, and they said that what they found was that whenever it was difficult to hire people, companies need talent.
Hmm.
When it was difficult to hire people, they either outsourced the project or they opened foreign offices, and that's my experience as well. So
Okay.
in the end, you actually end up losing a lot many more US jobs because people who support those jobs are not getting hired here.
Right, and nobody's paying taxes anymore.
Yep. So it's a double whammy. You lose more jobs and you lose the tax revenue.
Hmm. Okay, next question. I think it's a little green card question. He's a freshman at Arizona State University. How will the F1 to green card journey look like now that Biden is the president? Will the time be reduced from 150 years to etc.? Thank you, Rajiv
Well,
ji.
it's not 150 years. That's a little bit of an exaggeration.
I think
That
they're just
was
going
the
on all the media
Yeah,
articles.
that was the estimate actually made by a very respectable. I forgot who it was. I think it was somebody from Cato.
Hmm.
Cato is another think tank, and they have two very respected researchers. People I follow, I like them. And there is Stuart Anderson who runs an independent think tank. He's a pretty smart guy too. So these are people who have done some homework. I have to respect their statistics. It's not my experience that people are taking 150 years. It's taking time,
Hmm.
but there are ways that work out one way or the other.
Yeah.
So is it going to be faster overnight? No. It's even if they passed a law, in order for the trickle down of the law to take place, it would take time. But here is the good news. With the change in regulations from January 17th, 2017, two things help you tremendously. One, as soon as you get an I-140 approval, which start to finish from labor certification process is about a year and a half at the most.
Hmm.
Your priority date becomes your property. You can change employers. And even if the old employer revokes your I-140, you keep your date.
Hmm.
You don't lose your place in the queue. That's a big advantage. So that's almost like having a green card in that you can keep moving. Now,
Right.
you're not tied to
And you're
anybody.
not bounded to, yeah.
Okay. Number two, if the I-140 stays approved for 180 days, you don't have to be employed with that employer. They just don't revoke your I-140 for 180 days. You carry the right to keep extending your H-1 with any employer beyond 6 years,
Hmm.
even if the I-140 is revoked. So there are two rights.
Hmm.
One is priority date that becomes yours the moment the case is approved. The other is extension of H-1 beyond 6 years, which becomes mature and completely yours to keep after 180 days.
Can we track back and talk about how the green card process works? Because I think this person is in freshman year, so that person has a lot of time. By 4 years, Biden will be. I mean, it'll be the new. I don't know if Biden is going to be staying or someone else will come up. But so you, Shubh K, the person who asked it, you have a lot of time. So hopefully things are looking good as of now. But I want to go back to the question of how does so someone comes as a student, because majority of my audience is student, comes as a student, go into H-1B. What is the next step for them if they want to get green card?
The I think you should have your lawyers, whoever represent you, review your resumes to make sure there are no other categories like national interest waiver, like EB-1A, which is extraordinary ability aliens, or EB-1B, outstanding researchers or professors, if you have a research or a teaching position, because some of these categories have a huge advantage. Like EB1A or B, you could have a green card in a couple of years, depending upon how the dates are moving. So it's something to consider. So first thing is to have your resume assessed. I would typically do two things simultaneously. If somebody qualifies for EB1A, I start preparing their labor cert anyway, just in case I don't get approval. And to tell you a war story, we had a EB1A denial. And I asked I had told her she had a case that was questionable, but she wanted me to try. And she was also a PhD in humanities. She did not have a PhD in hard sciences. So when she lost the case, I asked her, I said, listen, we can always refile an EB1A 1,000 times if we want. There's no limit to how many times you can file. But if your resume is not going to change over the next 1 year, I would like to file a lawsuit and see how it works out. We filed the lawsuit. In 2 weeks, her case got approved. Okay. So the point is, it is necessary to look at the non-traditional parts that are possibilities.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you just go through the traditional way. Once you get your I-140 approval, you have a lot of freedom.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. Next question is from Sachin asking, I'm working as a software engineer in LA from last 2 years and currently on my STEM OPD. I have last shot on H-1B in coming April. What are my best options if I don't get H-1B this time too? Maybe L1 visa, question mark.
Well, L1 visa is a great option. There are many workers in the United States who are actually, I know at least 10 or 15 active cases in our office where people were here on H-1B, got their I-140 processed, and they're now thinking, what do we do next? They called me and I said, well, this is what we do. You work for multinational companies. This is how L1A works. Go abroad for 1 year. You have to work 366 days outside the United States for a branch, parent, subsidiary, or sister of this company as an executive or managerial employee. We bring you back on L1A, or we bring you back on EB1C green card directly, which is one of the quickest green cards in the country. EB1A, EB1B, EBC, EB1C, they are all under the same EB1 rubric. So they are very quick. Okay. So it's worth spending that 1 year outside the United States. And that way you get your L1, which is good for 7 years. You keep extending it. In the meantime, you apply for EB1C. Yes, L1A is a great option if you're going to work as a managerial or executive level employee for a multinational company.
Got it. And if the last chance also he did not get H-1B, so he should be talking to their company right now to do the L1 visa. Okay. Yep.
Some students go back to school and get their CPT. That has its own problems. But here's another thing you can consider. The entrepreneurs amongst you. Okay. Pay attention to what I'm telling you guys. Everybody, look at me. Stop drinking your coffee and your beer or whatever or lassi, whatever you're drinking. Listen to me. If you're entrepreneurs and you have a business idea that has a good chance of being successful, start working on it even if you're outside the United States for 1 year, because there's no law that says L1A companies L1A can only be given to large companies. Even smaller companies get L1As. The L1A and EB1C that I have done successfully for the smallest company ever was a 3-employee company. They were all Wharton graduates who did merger and acquisition targets, and they had a branch in Singapore, a branch in India, a branch in USA. Just 3 or 4 people. Okay. So you could have a small company. Basically, you go to India, you open your company, or go to Switzerland, wherever you are from, open your company, start working. Of course, you can discuss your plans with us before you go. We can help you. We can guide you in a consultation what to do. You set it up, you start working, and if it takes off in that 1 year or 2 years, whatever time it takes, you can then open a branch of it here and transfer yourself over on an L1. And that company, American company, once it has a 1 year tax history, can sponsor your green card. Or if you buy a company here, which already has a 1 year tax history, they can right away sponsor your green card.
Hmm. Yeah. So that reminds me, one of my friend, what he did is same case as that. Like they did not have H-1B until last time. So that company had a branch in Netherlands. So they sent the employee to Netherlands for one
Yes.
year and file L1 visa, and then now he's back on L1 visa.
Yeah. L1 is not subject to any quota, not subject to any salary limits.
Mm.
So, not subject to any geographical location. You can be moved around. So, L1As are a good bet. L1B is not so much. L1B is for people who have some special knowledge of the company's product, process, methodology, etc. Those don't get you a green card,
Mm.
and they are only good for 5 years.
Got it. Okay. All right. Hanuman Prasad just says thanks to you.
My pleasure. Jai Hanuman Gyan Gun Sagar.
All right.
You don't know what that is, Yudi.
I know. It's Hanuman Chalisa. I
Arey! Tell me the second line.
know. Jai Hanuman Agyan Gun Sagar, Jai Kaship, something. I have no idea. I just know the
Jai
first.
Kapish Gyan.
Jai Kapish Gyan
Jai Kapish Tihulo ko jagar.
Tiulo ko jagar.
Ram Dut Atulot.
See, I know. Yeah, I know. Right. What would be, so Ajita is asking, what would be the future of employees whose H-1B petition already approved with low wages? This
No
won't,
problem.
yeah.
No
This,
problem. Because the regulation that is stuck right now only applies to quota, not to transfers, amendments, extensions. You're good.
yeah. So if you already have approved, no problem. Also, if you have approved and filing for an extension, still no problem.
Hang up, go get a drink, relax, watch Saas Bhi
No,
Kabhi Bahu Thi.
I
Good.
still want them to watch it. I'll get views on my future. All right. Next question. Any news on allowing H-1B stamping in India before March?
They are already doing it. I have two clients who went and got stamps and came back.
There you go. Okay.
Especially drop boxes, very easy.
But isn't there was a ban? Oh, okay. So you're talking about the one who already had it approved before the
See,
ban.
yeah, if it's not expired for a year or so, something, there are all these rules.
Yeah.
They're all Dropbox people. But somebody who's going to India also got an appointment for she's never had an H1 before. So she's got an appointment, I think, for February.
Okay, so looks like it is approved. They just have to figure out the appointment part.
Yeah.
Okay, there are a couple of questions. What is your opinion on day one CPT? Is it legal? Yes.
That's a long story. If you go to immigration.com, go to my blogs. About 3 years ago, I warned people CPT is going to be a problem. I could see the writing on the walls. Maybe 4 years ago, I started warning people. Look, if you're desperate, use it. We'll deal with the fallout. It's not a problem. Okay. But do remember there is some conflict between the governments, at least, well, the old government. This government is not going to be that way. That what they did was really dumb. They started interfering with CPT, saying they are not legal. We don't accept them. And this government said, well, we only want you to have CPT OPT combined for 1 year. That's it. You cannot have more than 1 year CPT OPT combined at one level. So if you've taken OPT, you can't go back and get CPT at one level. If you go from master's to PhD, you get 1 more year. Our old understanding was CPT is unlimited, OPT is 1 year.
Really? I always thought that CPT is only allowed till 11 months, full-time CPT.
No. CPT that was before you got the OPT. Once you exhausted the OPT,
right.
you could have CPT forever. We had people on CPT for 3 years.
Oh, wow. I had no idea about this.
So the government changed their interpretation overnight. And I made a note of that 4 years ago. I started warning people that, see, think about it this way. Government trains DSOs in the school who are supposed to know the law. They are the ones who approve the CPT. If the DSOs are approving, your agents are approving. Why are you telling me? Why are you telling me it's not legal? So what is the worst that can happen? Right. You get an H-1B, they'll say, okay, we'll give you the H-1B, but go to India, get a visa stamp. Big deal, go get a visa stamp. Yeah. So we'll deal with it. That's what I'm saying. It's not pretty, but it definitely is better than nothing.
Yeah, got it. Okay. Does a EB1A or EB1B requires sponsorship, or can they sponsor itself? I think it's
There are
EB15.
there are only two
E-
categories
hmm,
in EBs, employment-based categories, that do not require employment directly: EB1A and EB2 national interest waiver.
Okay.
Every other category requires. EB1B requires a job, EB1C requires a job, EB2,
What is that
EB3.
investment category where they
That's
can
EB5. If you
EB5?
have
Okay.
if you are Daddy Warbucks, you've got $900,000 to invest or 1.8 million to invest. We'll be happy to assist. No problem at all. There are people.
No, no, yeah, there
People
are.
who love them. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Especially from China. There's a lot of capital in China.
Hmm.
Only problem is they can only bring out $50,000 a year. So they can invest, but they can only invest 50,000.
Right. Next question is how long will it take to get my duplicate I-797? My company has already applied for I-824. I have no idea about those
Okay,
steps.
so what I'm thinking is that his employment authorization got lost. Am I correct?
It's gonna take time for him to respond, but it's Deep
Okay,
Banerjee,
so
yeah.
if that is the case, Dada Banerjee, Balo. Okay, so if it is a lost EAD,
Yeah.
you can actually continue working with the receipt. It's called the receipt rule. Whenever you apply for a replacement employment authorization, the law allows you to start working with the receipt of the replacement.
Okay.
Okay, so double check, and actually you can Google employment
Uh,
authorization
he
receipt
did
rule.
say yes. That
Yeah.
yes to your
So
question. Yeah.
Google employment authorization receipt rule.
Okay. Can my uncle, who's a citizen of United States, sponsor my visa? Me as visa?
He can give you lots of love. That's all he can do.
Really? No.
Not it has to be immediate family members.
So what about like
So your
me?
parents can apply for you. Your brother and sister can apply for you. It takes 13 years, but they can apply for you.
13 years
Your
for
uncle,
even
your
for mom and
mama,
dad?
your mama can apply for his sister, which is your mom. And if you
Right.
are under 21, you come with them. But if you're over 21, tough luck. So it's not everybody in the family. He can just give you lots of love, like I said.
But what about like if I become a citizen, can I bring my brother and sisters?
In 13 years, yes. If you
Okay.
apply today, it takes 13 years.
Wow. And same for
Mom and
mom?
dad about a year and a half.
Okay. So
And they can then apply for your brother or sister if they are
m-
single.
okay. So spouse should be quicker, wouldn't you think so?
It's the processing time. If you look at the comments on my article in Economic Times, of somebody by the name of Brian this morning before I was going for a run, I saw the comment from this guy who said, you guys are taking care of all this. H-1B people can come in 6 weeks. I've been waiting for my spouse for years. So I was telling him, I said, look, it's not the law that's the problem. It is the paper shuffle that's the problem. It takes that long, the processing time. Technically, a US citizen spouse is eligible for a green card immediately.
Okay. Next question is a couple question on H1. Sorry, if I have a February appointment in India for H1B visa stamping, am I allowed to travel before 31st March? Soeb is asking, is he allowed? I'm guessing he's allowed to come here.
Well, you see, remember, if you were here in June, you are not subject to the order anyway.
But what if he never was and his visa was approved?
Then you have to wait till March because you still have
The
unless you
ban.
are under one of the exemptions. Again, go to my LinkedIn channel, and there you will see I have drawn a chart of people who are exempt from H-1Bs, people who are in high salary, people who are key employees, people who were here. So I've laid out the whole chart for you guys.
Yeah, yeah, I've seen that. It's very helpful.
You can say awesome, I'm okay with it.
It is awesome. You are awesome. There's no doubt about it.
That is. I just enjoy what I do, but the chart I drew was awesome.
Yes, yes. Okay, what's your advice for Sibin Kang is asking? What's your advice for someone on STEM OPT but with relatively low wage? What are my options for applying to H1B? Should I consider EB3?
Zubeen Kang, is that the name you read for me?
I think it's Sven, Sven Kang, Kang.
Sounds like a Chinese name.
Sounds like it. Or like
Okay.
Asian name. Yeah.
Kang is usually Chinese. So the if you're from China, you have the same problem as India, only not that serious. So just look at your priority dates. EB3 is a great option as long as your priority dates are current. But if your priority dates are not current, your EB3 cannot substitute an H1B because you will get work authorization under EB3 after 4, 5, 6 years. What do you do in those 4, 5, 6 years? You can't stay here. You can't work.
Right. Yeah. What are my options if I'm not able to get OPT within 90 days? I think even if not able to get job when the 90 days of unemployment
Well,
period
hey,
start.
listen, I've told this so many times. Just make note of this. There are two periods of OPT, first year and the STEM extension. The first year of OPT is really easy. As long as you have paid or unpaid employment, at least 20 hours each week. You could just walk over to your professor, you say, I'll do free research for you. As long as you give me a letter confirming that I worked for you 20 hours per each week, you can do that.
But would that result into problem when the extension
No,
is no? Okay.
no, I've done this for so many people. When people come to us, lawyers come to us, look, I can't find a job. Can you do the temporary job for me? I said, listen, you have to sign a contract with me that says you will work at least 20 hours, that says that I am not making you do this. You are volunteering this time because it's illegal for for-profit employers to take work. And I assign them research projects.
Hmm.
Right now, like I said, I'm working on 3 different research areas. So I always have research work. I always tell people, okay, you know what, do this and keep track of your time. Make sure you have at least 20 hours because I'm going to certify it. I'm not going to write anything untrue for you.
There you go.
So
Yeah.
that's what you can do. It's very easy enough to do.
Yeah.
You
That's a.
don't stress out about it. Start looking for options. And let me give you another example. Let's say you are a programmer and or a software engineer and your uncle is a dentist. Why can't you look at his technology? Why can't you give him a technology report for his company? How can he make work better for himself?
Or
Study
like
his work
build
processes.
an app or a website for that.
Build an app, build a website, spend 20 hours each week and you're good.
But all that person needs is a letter from that person saying that he's working on this thing.
But be truthful. Don't make shit up.
Yeah. Right. And it's okay to be unpaid is what you're saying.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. That's awesome.
First year, not the other 2 years. Then you have to be paid. You can still be 20 hours, but you got to be paid.
Yeah. Jaimin Faujdar is asking, is there any truth to Biden administration removing per country cap? If yes, how much would that impact waitlist for green card? Thanks, Rajiv Ji.
It'll take a few years for it to percolate down to you. It won't happen overnight, but it would. I think they did the math on that. 3 years or so, it would start affecting everybody. So I think things will get much better that way.
Awesome.
But already because of the I-140 rule, then AC-21 485 portability rule, you have a lot of freedom already. You're not that badly placed as you think you are.
But so when you get I-140 approval, you are still just technically still on H-1B visa and extending that, but you cannot do anything other than H-1B visa, right? Like you cannot start your own thing, or you cannot do
Well,
multiple contract jobs and things like that.
no, you cannot. But 3 years ago, we had somebody come out of MIT with $1 million grant from MIT. We helped them start their own company,
Yeah.
and they were the majority stockholder. MIT had minority stock in that, and they were able to start their company. We made full disclosures to the government that he's the CEO of the company. So as long as there's an employer-employee relationship, he could be fired by the board of directors. So it's an employer-employee relationship.
Hmm.
You can do your own business. It's tricky. It's to be avoided if possible. But if you want to give it a shot and you have a great idea, you want to work it out, it's possible.
Sachin H sent a big thank you to you.
You're very welcome.
Yeah.
No thanks
Why
necessary.
is why is USCIS delaying OPT approvals?
Well, this why only the good Lord can answer. They are not, they're delaying everything. They are, I don't know
Yeah,
whether
my
it's,
interview. It's still
yeah,
not
exactly.
there.
Look at yourself. Exactly. So, in fact, I don't even know why they can't do Zoom interviews. What are they going to do? Are they going to smell you? There's no smell test for lies. Okay.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I have no idea.
They are just they are just increasing the exposure of themselves and of people. Why can't they? Courts are doing Zoom hearings. Supreme Court of the United States is doing telephone hearings. Why can't this damn agency, which is nothing, can't do Zoom hearings
True.
or WebEx hearings if they want it secure?
Yeah, true.
Okay. So therefore, isn't don't you work for Cisco?
No, I don't.
Okay, good for you. But your WebEx was always secure.
Yeah, yeah,
We used WebEx the first 6 months. Then we
yeah.
went.
We used to use WebEx as well, but now we use a Microsoft Teams.
We
So
are using in the office. We are using uh, Zoom and Google both.
right.
Like, we are a Google house. We've always been a Google house.
Yeah. Okay. Next question is what do you think about applying for O1 visa in parallel to H1B visa?
Go for
And
it. If you
and
qualify,
he's
yes. I just finished reviewing an O1 RFE. They are those. My response is 143 pages.
wow,
My RFE
wow,
response is
that is
143.
wow.
So it's a lot of work, but it can be done. This guy's gonna win. I know that.
Yeah. Okay. He's on his last H1B
Go
lottery.
for it. If you qualify, go for it.
What is for people who might not know what is O1 visa? I always thought that O1 visa was only for people who are artists and singers and dancer, but it's also for
1A,
education.
yeah, O1A, O1B. O1B is for performers, artists, etc. O1A is for extraordinary ability. No, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. There are O1A also has further classifications. There are different visas for different types of people, but the ones that we deal with the most are O1As, which is extraordinary ability in the sciences, arts, humanities, education, business, etc. So if you qualify, pretty much same requirements as EB1A apply for O1A as well.
Hmm.
So you have to be the top 10% in your profession nationally.
So, and there's a lot of basically a lot of paperwork, I'm
A lot of
assuming.
paperwork, a lot of fun. Yes.
And that O1A also, so that visa can be self-sponsored or does it?
No, you need an employer, but that visa is indefinite. O1 has no limit as far as I remember.
Oh, okay. One of my friend is also she's also trying. She's in yeah, she's trying. I shouldn't say anything more than that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay. All right. Any good news for non-STEM students? No.
Trying to remember what I know of what I have read of the material that I have seen so far. If I go back to the 2013 law that was passed,
Mm.
there was a definite preference for STEM degrees, but for PhDs in the humanities, there were some provisions as well. Because they converted the system to a point-based system for green card like Canada's.
Mm.
So if you were younger, you had an advantage, something like that. I don't remember exactly how it was. If you spoke English, you had an advantage. If you had a PhD from USA, you had a huge advantage. So in this law, I don't recall anything about non-STEM graduate degrees.
That's okay. Yeah. Heavy delay. Viren Singh is asking heavy delay in Texas location EAD application.
Yeah,
90 plus days since they have received my application. Will USCIS postpone my start date if it is issued even after my postponed start date?
they will not do that. Unfortunately, that's too reasonable. They won't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I was, yeah, totally. Okay. If you get rejected from H-1B and you are on OPT and STEM OPT, can you still continue the OPT as normal and doesn't get yes? Answer is yes, right?
Sorry, what was the question?
So basically the question is if you're on OPT and oh, if you get rejected from H-1B and you are on OPT or STEM OPT, can you still continue the OPT as normal and doesn't get cancelled? I think
You
so.
can, you can just make sure that you go back to your school, and if they have deactivated your
Save is
service, they have to put a data fix in and reactivate it.
yeah.
So the answer is yes, but you may have to go through a small procedure.
Yep. Okay. How long would counselor processing from Canada take? I've been waiting since last March for EB3.
Uh, we have a couple of people going through Canada, and I want to just make a guess 6 to 8 months after your approval gets transferred, but I can't give you hard numbers, especially not COVID numbers.
I this question is important because I think a lot of people are trying to do this. Is Shruti Nayak is asking, is there a way for me to start a small business on Etsy store or Amazon seller while I'm on H-1B visa?
You won't believe it. I've answered that question like 7 times in the last 1 week, 7 or 8 times, including our last conference call. So I have a graphic on this on my LinkedIn page. That's something I did 5 or 6 years ago. It's still good law. What it tells you is this. I have a decision tree. It says, are you going to be employed by yourself? Are you going to be working with somebody else, et cetera, et cetera? But the key is this active or passive? Okay. So let's say you have a full-time job and you want to sell handicrafts that you import from India. You're just being a trader. You get orders here, you fulfill them in India, they get sold, you get paid. I think that's illegal. Why? Because that's active investment. You are working on something actively and making money. So that almost certainly is illegal. What if you invest money in Amazon.com 25 years ago and you just sit back and let the money roll in?
I wish I
That,
would have done that too.
yeah, exactly. So absolutely, you can do that. So passive investment, the difference between active and passive investment, from my point of view, I cannot point you to any law, just from my understanding of how things work. If there's a difference between investment and control, that's a passive investment. You invest, but you have no control over how the money is being run. The greater the distance, the better off you are. You cannot invest $200 in IBM stock and pull up a chair in the IBM headquarters and say, I'm going to run the company today. That's passive investment. You don't get to pull a chair and run the company.
But active trading is also active income,
That's what I think. When you
right?
start day trading, I think it becomes active investment. I
What
think.
and what about if your is it okay if your passive income is more than your actual
Why not?
H-1B?
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
I have people, I'll give you an example. The investment bankers' base salary is $72,000, bonus is $650,000.
Wow. Yeah.
I have counted them.
And
Okay.
what about? I mean, I've already answered this many times. Like, what about YouTube channel? I think it's an active because you're constantly working on producing videos.
I think it's active, unless somebody's just paying for your good looks, which I doubt. Not for me, I know for sure. I don't know about you.
What about what I think what about someone who designs well websites and all that also is active, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. Moving on to that was a good question. Okay. Jiju Soman is asking H4 and EAD is taking too long to get approved. My wife is going to lose her job because of this. Is it possible to go to Mexico and or Canada and get biometrics and stamping done?
I don't, well, see, the biometrics there are done for the visa, not for the EAD. I don't think that works. I think you will get the H4 quickly, but the EAD will still be stuck. I think what you can do is start tweeting to the White House chief of staff because he's in charge of the immigration process right now.
Oh, really?
Start tweeting to him and say that we have this problem of tremendous backlogs. Can you please fix it? And also remember that Trump had already signed the law to premium H4s and H4 EADs. Why is it not being implemented? It's a great source of revenue for the government.
And one more thing I didn't know this, and this is something I learned just recently, that one of my friend, he was on his wife filed green card. His wife is an American citizen, and she filed green card for this person, and then his OPT is expired because he lost all three chances for H-1B, and waiting for green card, EAD card, so that he can start his job. So what he did is he wrote a letter to congressmen, or like he emailed to congressmen and asking for to expedite his EAD, and looks like his EAD is producing right now.
It
I
can happen. It can happen.
so
If
right.
if if you don't know how to contact your congressman,
That's what I was gonna
I
ask you.
will. I can send you a link to a document that I prepared for our clients. Yudi, you can share it with people. I don't
Okay.
have any problem
Yes.
because it tells you step by step how you contact your congressman's office.
Yeah, that'll be very helpful
Just
because
send me an email. I'll send you the link.
okay. Okay.
I'll open it as a public link so anybody can log in.
Okay. Next is by Sahil Chawla. Can my spouse volunteer without pay in my business on H4 without EAD, or shall she do JD LLM considering she's an advocate in India?
Well, first of all, it's legal for her to work without pay or any benefit. It's illegal for you to employ her. Under Fair Labor Standards Act, there's limitation on how far you can go if you're a for-profit employer in employing interns or people who are not getting paid. Again, go to my LinkedIn. I have a one paragraph write up on this. This was discussed about 6 years ago. Still the
Okay.
same law.
Okay. Green card after PhD at USA? Question mark. I think they are asking what's the possibility. I think
Right now,
green card is easier, especially if you have PhD. There's a like
no,
no
no, no.
versus
Green
like
card is
employer.
easier if you qualify for EB1A.
Mm,
Normally, EB1A becomes easier because you have a PhD, but it's not, there's no correlation, direct correlation.
okay.
Because you need publications, you need certain things, which commonly PhD students have. But I've got plenty of people with master's degree who's got EB1As.
Mm. With a Pritham is asking, with a Canada citizenship and TN visa in the US, can I apply for green card?
No, you can if you're not planning to travel till you get your green card, because TN does not allow you to apply for a green card. If you travel outside or if you apply for an extension, you could be stopped.
Hmm.
So most TNs either convert to H1 or they give up travel. But if you're India born, it's going to take too long. So TN doesn't work. Keep
What
applying for H1B.
What's the scenario for green card for Pakistanis? Nehal is asking.
Good for you. Born in Pakistan, wonderful. You are the rest of the world, so it's much quicker for you.
Really?
Pakistan is the rest of the world. Pakistan also has treaty trader, treaty investor options, E1, E2 visas, which are excellent.
Okay. All right. EB3 visa update. Is it ban or not? Waiting
Not
interview
bad.
from last year.
No. There's no ban.
Yeah. Okay. I think we've passed 1 hour, so we'll stop it here. Do you want to end with words of wisdom? I really love your words of
Well, there
wisdom.
isn't any wisdom other than the fact that, guys, like I said, don't plan for 10 years. Just plan for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Live today, and today rest will take care of itself. Don't keep thinking, oh, what's going to happen in 10 years? What's going to happen in 5 years? It never works out the way you think it's going to. So
Yeah.
you'll be okay. You live in a country, adults are back in town. That's what I keep telling them, that the the spoiled little brats are out. The adults are back in town. It was
Yeah.
touch and go for a while. And now you can see a lot more rational decision making.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree. Yeah, I think things are gonna look good now. All right, I
Yes.
think that's it for this one. I've never made you do this, so I have a funny way to not funny. I have a nice way to end the videos. All my videos, I say keep smiling and keep hustling. So maybe this
Good.
time you should say it.
I don't say that. I say be authentic. If you feel like frowning, frown. If you keep like saying, I like what President Obama said. Somebody asked him in the sixth year of his, he was telling this in a talk he gave. He said somebody asked him, "You are in the sixth year of your presidency. Do you have a bucket list?" And he said, "I don't have a bucket list, but I have a list that rhymes with bucket list." If somebody comes to me and says, President Obama, and this is exactly what he said, you've got to do immigration reform. He says, bucket.
Oh, nice.
So I like people to be authentic. Don't smile falsely. If you feel like smiling, smile. Just be authentic, whatever you want to be.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, I think that's it. Thank you, Rajiv ji, for doing this. Really means a lot to you. I mean, it's a lot to me and my audience. There are a
My
lot of
pleasure.
people. We have 500 people. So, all right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Be well, everyone. Take care,
Yep.
guys.